What are we doing, man?
Yo, what's good, guys? Welcome to VenueBox. My name is Elijah, and this is my co-founder.
My name is Abe, like Lincoln.
Yeah, so everyone's been wondering who's behind the screen, and some people do know us from seeing us talk about how it is to run a venue in Chicago, what it looks like to work with other venue owners, what it looks like to work with decorators and other event professionals helping in the industry. So we wanted to get away from behind the screen and come onto your screen to talk a little bit about ourselves, introduce ourselves, and a little bit about what we're doing and what we're up to and where we've come from. So you get to hear a little bit about that today.
Yeah, we're gonna be a lot more in front of the camera. You're actually gonna see a lot of our faces and a lot of our voices. You might get tired of it, but that is what it is. And this is kind of uncomfortable for us. I mean, at least me. This guy yaps a lot, so you might see a lot more of him than you see me. But yeah, I mean, our whole story starts from being behind the camera, legit being behind the camera. But I think we're gonna talk a little bit about things that happened prior to that, and what we want to do in this video is just express ourselves, talk about our background, our story, where we are today, and kind of the new page that we are turning, in these coming months, years, and in the future. So
Yeah, so what is VenueBox? What is this thing that we're working on? And I'm sure a lot of people are kind of curious because they keep seeing us on different types of things. Videos come up, pictures and ads come up.
they probably heard a lot of different names too. So
Yeah.
they don't even know what Venue Box probably is. A lot of people that probably watching this have heard us use many other different names in the past. But Venue Box itself is a rebrand, and it's you can kind of infer where that is going, right? But I think we should take it back, right? Um, to
Yeah,
the
so
beginning.
we can introduce ourselves, in general and how we met. So Abe and I met when we were 11 years old, very young chaps, and we didn't really know what we were doing, of course, like many other young folks, and we were just exploring the world, learning,
Yep, yep,
loving,
yep, yep.
living, and our journey kind of began into trying to learn how we could add more value to our community, going to university, becoming students, becoming professionals in a working career. We both went into engineering, so software engineering and product management. And, ever since then, we've just been building stuff
Yeah.
for the people we worked for. That could be a company. We worked at Microsoft in the past, and then we kind of branched off to working with people in our community. And that's looked like different business owners from the boutique world, and now in the venue world, right?
Yeah. I mean, we could take it back a little bit, to before we started working with people. I think, I mean, we were good friends. We worked on a couple of things before VenueBox, before OraVew, before any of that stuff. Right. But I think things fell into place, and we've always wanted to work on things. Like I think that was a shared feeling, a shared like passion that we had. Like me, you, Sean, I'd say us three mostly. We always had a passion for trying to start things, exploring things, and then after college, I think it became a lot more like felt a lot more real, right? And then two, we had capital to play around with a little bit. We could risk it for the biscuit,
Yeah.
and so I think that's when we started to actually put money where our mouth was and kind of experiment with real things.
Yep. And I mean, moving to Chicago was a big part of that. So when we finished university, we were, of course, in the working force like many other people. But, we wanted more from our lives, and many other people do, right? Like, there's a big thread on Reddit called FIRE, get financially independent at some point in your life. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's, like, dreaming to, get to that point in their life. So that's, we all want the same things. So we really were trying to find other entrepreneurs in the city of Chicago that were kind of like us.
Yeah.
So we started going to a lot of events on Eventbrite, meetups, different things like that, just to like meet people.
Mostly real estate events in Chicago. Um, but at that time, it was actually Elijah that was going to a lot of these events, and I was in New York. Um, I was in New York from because I went to school upstate New York in Cornell. Then I came to New York City, and I was staying there. And this guy, we'd hop on calls. He'd be like, "Yeah, I'm going to this event. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Real estate, mostly, essentially all real estate.
Yeah, I was
I don't think
obsessed
it
with
was
buying a
anything
house.
else outside of real estate." And so, eventually, this guy gets me to come out to back to Chicago for what was supposed to be like a month or 2 weeks. I have a single suitcase,
Oh yeah, that's
and
true.
then I think it was like we hit up like two, three, four events every week.
We
Just kept
did.
on going
Yeah.
back to back. Yeah.
And the first person that really believed in us actually was Jeff Ma.
Yeah.
He was hosting a real estate event at his restaurant, and we eventually actually started working for him. As
Yeah.
Abe mentioned, we were behind the camera, and we had one GoPro back then.
Yeah.
So we started with a GoPro, and we were recording a lot of his events to like help him gain some presence in the online media, social media
Yeah.
world, about what it looks like to be a real estate professional.
Yeah, we were extremely hungry, like really hungry. I think, we were working full time. We had our full time software engineering and product management jobs, and then we would go to these events. We didn't know much about real estate. We didn't have any much value to add to that. But what we did have was kind of like this curiosity and this passion for documenting things. And so we would take a GoPro, we'd sit in the back of the event, we'd record it, and then we'd go ahead and we would kind of like use this tool called Descript to create like notes from the events. Because a lot of people would go. We realized when we went to these events, a lot of people would sit there and they would take notes, right? Like the speakers are talking about investing in real estate and what that would look like and all that stuff. And so people would be taking notes. And so we said, hey, let's just record these things. We can post them. We can go ahead and we can create notes of them. We can go ahead and create a mail list of things. And so that became our daily like work,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, to be fair, I don't think many people like read the notes or like used it, but I think
No.
what people really resonated with was the fact that we showed up every day with the camera, and we're just there doing stuff. So I think the effort definitely made people feel more comfortable with that. So that was really fun. I mean, I'm sure like folks are probably thinking like, okay, yeah, you guys
Yeah.
are telling us about this, but like, where does an event venue fit into all this thing? Like, how does that come in the picture?
Yeah, pretty random actually. So we started recording videos for people that we met at these events. So Jeff Ma was actually our first client. And we said, hey man, we have a GoPro. You want to create content. So let's just collaborate and we'll go ahead and we'll help you kind of grow your social media. Honestly, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. Jeff knew that. But he took a chance. And so we went ahead and we figured out what to do. That meant getting better equipment, getting drones,
Getting a studio.
getting a studio. And that's where things fell into place. Yeah.
Yep. So getting a studio was a big part of that, right? We realized, hey, we're doing all these recordings with all these people. It would be great to get a place. And we also noticed one thing. Real estate was big on events. A lot of people host real estate events. So it's like, okay, why not just get a place where we could bring these people together, help them do content, help them produce more value for their own communities and just work, right? Like we just wanted to create a place where we could all work.
Where we ourselves can host events, where people that were, I mean, Jeff himself was hosting events at his restaurant.
Yep.
Right. And other people were hosting events at their realty offices and things like that. So one side of it was, let's give these people a place to host events, make our lives easy when it comes to recording things. 2, we need a place to work. And then 3, when we started taking on clients and we started shooting videos, we ended up starting renting studio spaces using Peerspace. And so we'd pay like $50 to $75 an hour. We'd book like 3-4 hours in a day. And then it got to a point where we were booking, what was it, like 3 times a week.
We were essentially paying someone's like quarter of the rent, half of the rent. And we're like, hey, we could just go pay rent as opposed and actually have a place where we have more time to like brainstorm, think, do events. So that was the birth of OraVew.
Yeah.
Essentially our first studio.
It was a multi-use space. So we events, private events, was not a thing at that time. That was not a thing in our mind.
Yeah. Well, we thought about it and we kind of dabbled in it because we did make listings online, but we were not focused on that as like a business model. We didn't think about the fact that there was an industry called private events, right? It wasn't a thing in our mind.
We wanted to host events, but it wasn't something that we were thinking about making money off of until we listed our studio on Peerspace. Because remember, we were renting people's studios. We said from Peerspace, and then we said, okay, well, we have our own studio now, so why not go ahead and rent it out to other people that might want to use it, and go ahead and use that to pay our rent, or part of our rent. And so our main business model at that time was production and social media management. And so we had a whole production team, a whole, social media management team. We were doing a lot of like posting and recording and ideating on these things. And then money started coming in from rentals, like one by one, slowly. And like Elijah said, on Peerspace, you can list studios, meeting spaces, and event spaces. And I think we listed all three, that one space that we had.
Yep. Because, I mean, it was kind of multi-purposeful anyway. So we did list as an event space. So our first booking experience was quite interesting, actually. Yeah. So we had a girl, she had a birthday, and we have no idea, again, in this business, right? We had no idea what we were doing.
Well,
we were new to the business.
Tell them about the space, though, what the space was to begin with.
Well, the space was quite barren. We didn't really have chairs and tables. We basically had a couple couches that were like production based.
Yeah, we had a lot of like lighting equipment. We had furniture that was meant for shooting videos. So like solo videos and videos that look cool. But it wasn't something for seating and feeding people that were...
Well, I mean, but the space was quite nice, right? It was a clean space. It was not quite brand new, but because we had just moved in... the owner had did some work to like polish it up, and we also did some work.
We did a lot
to
of work.
Repaint the place.
Yeah, we painted that place.
So the place was nice. It was a nice place, and the only missing piece was bringing in furniture, right? So this girl was able to bring in her own furniture to have an event. But I think we netted maybe like $600-700 from the event, and we realized, okay, that's a good chunk of change for a 1 day-ish of work. There was some work prior to that from like talking to her, doing tours.
It was pretty, it was somewhat passive in comparison to the rest of the things that we were doing at that time.
Yeah.
It was like a very like simple thing where we just had to meet someone and then be like, okay, this is what you do. But it did take a turn and it wasn't that fun. Like that experience of dealing with someone. Hospitality, essentially. We fell into hospitality without even knowing it, like without even realizing it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to deal, I mean, everyone that's probably thinking about this industry or has been in this industry has dealt with different types of personalities. And that's just what comes with any business, that you have to have customers. Customer service is just what it is. You get to learn about people and their behaviors. So we've seen all types of people.
We've seen all types of people. We started hosting events, essentially. We realized, oh shoot, this makes money. Like we can make money doing this instead. Essentially, we looked at the work that we were putting in and the money that was coming in from all the different ways that we were making money to, one, pay that rent, and two, essentially most of the money that we were making at that time was going to rent and paying for the rest of our production costs and team costs and all that stuff. It was making good money. Actually, when we got our third client, Bree, was when we were making some good, solid money. And during that time, too, we met our second client, who was Dan. And Dan's still actually in our lives, and he's actually about to be here in an hour.
Yeah.
We started hosting events. We realized, look, this is something that makes quite a lot of money. Let's kind of push our attention to this. So we improved the space. We decided to invest in chairs and tables, better photos for the space, and that's when traction started picking up on Peerspace. We started listing on Tag Venue, Gigster,
Splicer, Zola, Storefront, all the platforms, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, right, like any other business, you hit a plateau, right? The excitement period is like, yeah, everything's going great, and then it's like stagnant. It's like, oh, okay, like now where do we go from here, right? So, we realized we were relying on platforms like super heavily. And at that time too, like we noticed like, okay, we have a lot of turnovers. We have to clean a lot. Operations was a nightmare because we had now 7 platforms to deal with. So it was a lot of pain, like still having to, manage this business, and we weren't making too much profit, right? We were generating revenue, but like Abe mentioned, right, like most of that revenue was going towards the rent,
Towards rent.
our equipment, our team, managing our
managing
team,
the team.
right? And we were like, we're doing all this work and literally
But
like not
surprisingly,
making much from it.
because we were listed on so many platforms, we were making a good amount of money.
Yeah,
Like we were making a solid amount of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't always like a matter of just hosting events and then you get money, right? We had our days where things were pretty rough, to say the least. We've gotten robbed. We've gotten, there's some crazy stuff that's happened in our event space, which you can't mitigate for. That's what it is, right? It's people that you don't know that are gathering. You don't know who's going to show up to these events. And to be frank with you, we really didn't have a safe screening procedure when we first started it. It was kind of like, all right, host your event, and give us the money, and that was it. And so some things had happened that weren't so enjoyable. And so there was some times, honestly, where it was like, oh shoot, like I'm not dealing with this. Like,
Yeah,
is this even worth it?
yeah.
All right.
There's been a lot of rough moments, but there are also good moments.
Yeah, there were solid moments.
Yeah.
Being part of people, so like this was something surprising that I really enjoyed. Is I didn't realize that we'd be taking or we'd be part of people's big moments in life, like huge moments in life, right? Like people's engagements, people's weddings, people's birthdays. What was it called? Milestone birthdays, right? Like birthdays that are like 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, which are like huge moments. And our space became a place for people to gather, to celebrate, to enjoy time. And that was something I actually kind of enjoyed a lot, right? It felt meaningful.
Yeah.
It felt
like you were doing something useful to some degree, right? Like people kind of depended on you. Well, at least it felt like people depend on you. And when you come through, it makes it kind of worth it. It's like, wow, like, this wouldn't have happened if we were not involved.
exactly.
Kind of thing.
Exactly. We became like a space. I mean, and that was kind of the goal to begin with too, right? Was a space, a multi-use space to bring people together, to create community, and it fell into that. And so that was a great thing. But like Elijah said, we started hitting a plateau in terms of the amount of work that we were doing, managing our event space across all these platforms, our team, and all that stuff. And that's when the next phase of what we wanted to do to organize all these things came into fruition.
Yeah, I mean, I think Abe was the first one to find Facebook ads, actually. So,
Actually,
that was a game changer.
That, we started working on the first version of VenueBox. Was it?
Yes. Well, we sort of started doing there've been so many iterations of VenueBox. It's interesting. So, I mean, the first version was like on Asana, where we were just it was on Google. It was Google Sheets at some point as well. We used Google Sheets, we used Asana, and then eventually we started building our own infrastructure to manage all these leads. But the biggest thing is like Abe first started diving into Facebook ads, and that's where the faucet for our business really turned on. Because prior to that, like, sure, we were getting leads from all these platforms, but there wasn't a ton of work to do to like try to drive business.
Yeah.
But when we started doing Facebook ads, then the faucet really turned on, where it's like people were raising their hands saying, hey, I want to host an event with you guys. And it was too much for us to handle.
Yep.
So we needed to figure out a way to organize this and actually service people properly, try to do sales, right? Learn what it means to do sales. What is sales, right? Like, how do you go from a person raising their hand to a person that's hosting an event?
It became a real business at that point. It felt like something that we can control. Up until then, we were kind of just sitting ducks, waiting for someone to come by and be like, I want to host an event here, right? It was a very passive business at that point. It was like, it didn't even feel like a business. We weren't doing any marketing, we weren't doing any sales. Well, we did some sales, but these people were pre-qualified when they arrived. And it was a matter of just, you like the space?
It was like an alley-oop assist.
Yeah. And so it was interesting. And this phase of our business actually came from a conversation I had with Jeff. I was talking to Jeff about buying an Airbnb property, and then somehow, some way, that conversation fell into a conversation about marketing. And I kind of told him, hey man, like, Do you have any? Because Jeff himself hosts events at his restaurant, like parties on Saturdays and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "It sounds like the problem you have is a marketing problem." That was legit word for word what he said. It sounds like the problem you have is a marketing problem. And then that same day, I looked into Alex Hermosi, his whole marketing thing, and that's how we stumbled upon Facebook ads and running ads to drive, um, you know, uh, eyes and clicks for people looking to host events in our areas. And from there was when we essentially started making some legit money because people that came direct to us and were trying to book directly with us instead of going through a platform, that system allowed us to collect money up front. So we'd collect 50% deposit up front, and then we get paid 50% after or 7 days before the booking took place. When we were on platforms, we were collecting the entire pot of money after 20% deduction from platform fees after the event took place. So we'd have events that we'd get booked for 3 months out, and we'd be sitting ducks for 3 months without any money, while the platform got to hold that money. But when we came direct with running Facebook ads and our landing pages and things like that, we had real cash flow without having to do the work to begin with. Because the event would be 3 months out, 4 months out, and we'd have 50% of the cash then. And there was that was when things started going off because we still had our platform bookings that were, that we had booked up. And so the events would be this month and we'd be getting paid out this month. But we were getting paid today for events that were like 4, 5, 6 months out. And essentially our revenue legit like doubled and quadrupled in a matter of like 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it was consistent for a couple months. We were able to keep it up.
It was insane.
And we noticed like, wow, we were in the driver's seat. Like
It was
we went
insane.
from passenger seat, looking out the window, trying to figure out what's happening, to going into the driver's
Yeah.
seat and driving like as fast as we could.
Yeah, our revenue went from like it was around 3K, 3.5K per month to like 10, 12. And that was like, oh shit moment. And that was big. And so at that moment we were like, all right, this is what we're doing. This is like forget the platforms. Like this is where the money is. And we kind of dove headfirst into that whole and learning about marketing, learning about sales, really trying to understand how to sell, how to market. And this is where we spend a lot of our time. We started spinning up different ads, spending a lot of money on ads actually on Facebook. We realized why Facebook was such a big company at that time because we said, wow, all that money that we just made, by the way, in terms of like when we hit that like 10, 12K in that month, that money went straight back into Facebook because we were like, okay, all we have, it became math equation at that point. I was like, let's just spend money to just go make more money. And that's kind of the way that we looked at it. And kind of got a little stray
Yeah.
when we started doing that.
Got a little carried away. But I
carried
mean,
away.
the big picture that we saw was, you know, and it doesn't matter which business model you're really in, but being in the driver's seat is important. Like you just have
Extremely
to
important.
find a way to like drive your own business forward.
Yep.
And
Control.
this put us in a position where we're like, you know what, like okay, this is great doing it for ourselves, but what if there's something bigger that we could do?
Yeah.
What if there's an
Yeah.
opportunity to help other folks that are out there do it as well, right? I mean, it's like not from an altruistic perspective either, right? It's from a perspective where like if you grow the pie gets bigger and everyone gets a piece of the pie. And that's what we realized because like before we started doing it, those people were going to host their events anyway at some point in time. But just the fact that we went out there and put ourselves out there gave us the opportunity to actually get this.
Yeah.
And we know there are tons of business owners out there, tons of venue owners out there, decorators, event planners that are just leaving bookings on the table because they're just not out there, right?
Yeah, it's hard for people to find them. And I mean, Alex Ramosi always talks about this, and this guy became a god to us at that point. It was like this guy's words were like gospel. Like if you guys don't know who he is, just search him up. And I mean, I think everyone at this point knows who he is. But like we understood what business was at that point. I think that was the first time we said, "Oh, this is what the key factors of business were." Like we knew we had our operations down at that point, but marketing and sales, when we started developing those, we realized there's quite a lot of venue owners that are probably in the same shoes as we are. Quite a lot of vendors, event vendors, probably in the same exact shoes as we are, where people kind of just started this as a side thing, hoping to quit their full time jobs, or people wanted to make more money, right? And they didn't have a formal business education. They didn't have people that knew business like that were successful in it to guide them in this way. And just like it took us, what, 2 years, a year and a half, to come to that point of like, oh, like this is what real business is, and this is what you can do. We realized, there's probably quite a lot of people out there in our exact shoes that we can go ahead and help with what we've kind of learned to do. And at that time, we were still learning. And honestly, we still are learning every day.
Yep.
That's kind of what it is. But we became more confident, I think, in our knowledge and our experience. And we had a lot to share, especially with people that were starting their careers in this industry at that time. And so, we started looking for clients to help. We started trying to meet people in this way. And our first client, who was actually Alex in Chicago, he's a venue owner out here, probably one of the top venues at that time that we came by.
Long Haul Chicago, yeah, it's
The
pretty
Long
good.
Haul Chicago. Beautiful event space. And the way we stumbled upon him is cold calls. And so I think at that time, just ripping like cold calls, going through all the event spaces that were in Chicago and calling them up. And I ended up speaking with Alex's wife on the phone. And she ended up, at that point, she told me over the phone that, would you like to buy this space? Like that was literally what she said. She's like, we're tired of this. She's like, we're tired of doing this. Would you like to buy this space? And I did not answer that question. And I was like, yes. I said yes. I mean, I was like, I'm interested. Like, can I come see it? And went to go see their space. And I was like, are you guys kidding me? Like, our venue was, in comparison to what they had, our venue looked like a dumpster, right? And our venue is a good looking venue. Like, it's an aesthetically pleasing venue. But their venue is next level. They had an outdoor area. They had 2 indoor areas. Their kitchen was beautiful. Their location was nice. The parking lot was the only issue that they had. But from there, it could have gone 2 routes. It could have been like, yeah, we'll buy your venue. And I'm like, yeah, like just sell it to us. It's so hard, right? But we chose to go the other way of kind of saying, okay, like this is a good product that you guys have. Like there's no way that this can't make money. And so they became our first client that we helped with setting up a direct booking system that actually worked. So we built them a custom website and a custom CRM that we had patched together, which was our sauna system at that time. And from that deal, we ended up walking away with around 4.5K. And that's when we said, wow, we can make money helping other people do this.
Yep. So I mean, that was a good place to start. It was confidence, and one, like the things that we'd learned is valuable to other people. And the other thing was not just doing it one time, but being able to replicate it and do it twice was even more valued. Like, okay, then how much more could we go with this thing? So we continued, of course, to go out there and try to find other people that we could work with. And we have other folks that we have helped. One of our best and favorite clients, Tina. She's been with us for the past 7 months, which has been impressive. You guys will get to see Tina more in the future when we make more, types of introductions with her and just tell a little bit more of her story as well. But yeah, so we're here. We've met other folks in Indiana and try to help other people build resources in this industry that we have the knowledge of, to kind of just help in this aspect they're not really strong at. By putting things that we know and we've done well to the test, right? So, we did that for a while, and then we also went on the other side of the fence to try to help people who are looking for venues. And that's a whole different experience that we'll talk more about in the future. But that took up a lot of our time, and we learned a lot about the wedding industry from that, because most people looking for venues right now are wedding events, and they have the longest time to book, but they also have the highest budget in the industry and the highest volume of inquiries being put out.
And they're the people that you want to deal with. The money that they're willing to spend and the work that you have to do makes sense. And the risk that you're taking also makes sense. Baby showers and birthdays became, baby showers and weddings became the things that we started chasing after in that sense and going for. Birthdays are a little bit messier, but they make money, less cash, more volume. And so yeah, we we started collecting information of people across the U.S. that were looking to host their events. And how many people, how much budget did we kind of get to at that point?
Yeah, well, it was like roughly 140 so proposals that were put out with roughly $800,000 of budget.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing there was just like there's a lot of opportunity in this market for a lot of people,
And that was
there's a
from
huge gap.
a small
Yeah,
number of people.
well, it was like
100
a month
people.
of testing, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's small sample of people, not a lot of but the big thing is there's a huge gap in this industry, right? There are a lot of people that are looking for stuff and haven't had a chance to make a decision yet. One thing we found is like it's really hard to get in touch with venues, and that was surprising to us because we were like, yo, like I thought people in this industry want get bookings, but it's really hard to get in touch with the top venues because they're just busy as well, right?
They're
So
booked. They don't got the time.
exactly. So it's like there are a lot of different problems in this industry with like on both sides, like people looking for venues, but then also venues that just can't get bookings. So then there's a huge disconnect. Like, what's wrong? That's
Yeah.
what we're really trying to figure out. The big thing is like you were scratching your head, like like there's two sides of the marketplace. Big budget on one side, the other
Yeah.
side is like I want the money, like I can host you, but it's like what's missing?
Yeah.
Like what's missing?
Yeah.
What's wrong? So that's what we've been really tinkering with, and that's what we've been working on. We've talked to over 400 venue owners / vendors, people that are like decorators, to try to understand like what is the issue there.
We talked to decorators, DJs,
Event planners,
planners,
equipment rentals.
equipment rental. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we spent time on both sides of the fence. Now the question is, where do we go from here? How do we help fill the gap that exists in the industry? How do we help more venue owners, more decorators, more event planners? And how do we help people that are looking for you guys? How do we help them find you? And how do we actually help streamline that relationship? Like, how do we make it easier for them to connect with you, to come to a tour with you, to get a booking with you? So those are the
Yeah.
questions that we think about.
Being a venue owner and a vendor is extremely difficult, especially if you're solo. Like, I think we got lucky that we're working together, and that we had a support system, friends, and all that stuff to kind of rely on for some things. But like, for example, if you're solo, venue owner, vendor, whatever, especially venue owners, that job is extremely tiring. You have to manage clients. You have to deal with cleaning up events, making sure your operations are good, people are satisfied, and then there's a whole actual business side of it where the operations is a huge portion. The other side is the sales, marketing, customer management, customer service, satisfaction, all that stuff, and it's a lot to juggle. But we want to make sure that venue owners and people that are vendors for these events actually have systems and processes that help them. And we've been experimenting with quite a lot of different things. I think we're gonna keep on doing that, and learning from it. And I think the whole process now that we've kind of dove into is documenting that. And
Yep. So this is the first of many, right? We just wanted to get away from behind the screen to get in front of the screen, introduce ourselves, say hello, tell a little bit about our story, right?
Uncut.
We'll have more of this coming
Yeah.
because there's a lot of stories that we can share with you guys about our experience from the past, where we're going in the future, right? But the big thing, like Abe said, is documenting it. And of course, building a community around like people that could help each other in this industry. There is a lot of knowledge. There is a big pie. The pie is growing every day. So there's no reason to feel like you can't like build a community and help each other grow in this industry. You're not competing with someone that's in Phoenix if you're in Houston. So it makes sense to
you're
share
not even
trade
competing
secrets.
with the same person in Houston if you're in Houston. There's just so much on the table, that it's just more than enough to share. Like, you can gain a lot more by sharing with others. And two, on our end, it's a matter of kind of, we don't have to tell the perfect story. We don't have to present the hey, we did it story of like, hey man, like we went from 0 to 100. We've kind of had a up down journey where we've hit peaks, and then similarly we've kind of hit the bottoms. And I think at this point we're just like, let's just talk about it. Let's show you guys where we are now, what we've done, and keep on documenting it on a daily basis. And I think we're gonna be extremely transparent. Share all the ins and the secrets that we found. We don't really care at this point. We don't
Yeah.
really care. It's gonna be it's more fun to share, and to build that community.
Hey, I mean, guys, the pie's big. It's a big industry. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity to grow and work with people around you, collaborate, share knowledge, and just grow. So stay tuned. We're here. There's going to be more of this happening. So if you're looking for some help and resources to help you with your product, meaning like what you're selling as an event space, or the types of things that you have as your services, getting attention online, converting potential customers online, or organizing your information for your customers.
Building direct funnels, getting direct bookings, a community of people to connect with and to share tips and to just confide in with, like if you want to meet other people that are facing the same challenge that you have, probably overcame it or are working right now to overcome it, and have others to kind of rely on and co-work with. We're building the space for that, and I think you can find us on our Instagram, on our website. If you go to VenueBox by OraVew on Instagram, that's an easy way to get in contact with us. You can DM us there. There's a link tree that you guys can go ahead and click on, and you get access to our Discord, our school
TikTok,
community, our
Facebook.
TikTok, our everything that you might want. And from there, you could grab a time with Elijah and I, no strings attached. Honestly, we just want to meet more people that are in our industry and connect with folks. And so we'd love to see you there or in the comments, or wherever it may be. Yeah.
Yep. So see you guys on the next one. Stay tuned. And this is not only for venue owners, right? This is just business in general. So, if you want to hear more from us and you thought this was fun, all right, we'll catch you on the next one.